In the last video, we saw that Zhang Zi had to put a stop to his exploration in the demon territory due to a technical problem. A death territory had manifested itself on the 4th floor of the demon territory, and the management bureau decided to seal it off until the death territory was dispersed. Every hunter on the 4th floor saw how dangerous it was with their own eyes when an overconfident man went to the death territory but came out close to death. On the 22nd floor of the demon territory, a member of the notorious organization Dawn is facing all the monsters alone. He receives a message that the assassin of his team Kiss of Death had been killed by Rakshasa and is interested in meeting him. Since he needs more money for his sister's treatment, Zhang Zi decides to work with a man called Lu Kai who is his friend's cousin. But their job is dangerous. They have to enter cities overtaken by monsters and retrieve precious artworks. But the pay is very good and Zhang Zi agrees to the job. They go to the nearest fallen city the next day, and all the members of the team are quite skilled. But they get cornered by a territory demon and everyone except Zhang Zi and Lu Kai are dead. They think that once they come out of the building, they would be safe, but another surprise is waiting for them there. Zhang Zi and Lu Kai are shocked on seeing more level 2 territory monsters outside. There are at least 4 of them and Zhang Zi thinks that some of them look bigger than the one they escaped. 2 of their comrades died fighting the terrible monster while one disappeared even before that without a trace. Lu Kai shouts in desperation at seeing the monsters and feels like there was no chance for them to survive. But the monsters start running towards them on hearing his scream. They are even more ferocious up close and Lu Kai decides to not be selfish. He gives the bag containing the picture to Zhang Zi and asks him to run to safety. Lu Kai tells Zhang Zi that the 3 million yuan were his if he was the only survivor. But since Lu Kai has already given up on escaping alive, he requests Zhang Zi to take care of his sister. Zhang Zi says that both of them could leave alive but Lu Kai has already taken out his shotgun. He rushes at the horrifying monsters alone and recklessly. He shouts as he aims at the monster in front of him and starts shooting it rapidly. But the bullets have little effect on the huge monster and it gets even angrier at Lu Kai. The monster takes a huge swing but Lu Kai dodges it easily. He jumps back but is still in the range of the monster's attack. He sees no other solution to the problem and takes out a grenade. He throws the grenade at the monster and the monster dies. But even though he was able to defeat one monster, Lu Kai is at the end of his strength and is quickly bested by the next one. He has his back to the wall and can only think that he was going to die here. The monster runs towards him and Lu Kai braces for the deadly hit. But Zhang Zi starts running towards the monster attacking Lu Kai and covers the distance between them at an unbelievable speed. He crosses the monster and comes in between it and Lu Kai. Lu Kai is surprised by the speed Zhang Zi showed but he is going to see more of his abilities now. Zhang Zi does not move from his position and intercepts the monster's punch head on. He is equal in power to the monster and Lu Kai is shocked on seeing that. Zhang Zi thinks that although his strength was comparable to the monster, it would be foolish to fight it head on. But the good thing is that all the monsters were not attacking them together. Lu Kai gets back on his feet and tells Zhang Zi that these monsters never interfered in each other's fights. Trying to steal another's prey was not a part of their behavior, and that was what had kept Lu Kai and Zhang Zi alive till now. But if the monster was to die or give up on fighting them alone, the rest of the monsters would come at them together. Zhang Zi is relieved on learning that and gets ready to face off against the monster. He stands in front of the monster because he is confident in his speed, using which he dodges the attack of the monster and jumps up above its height. He punches the monster with his full power and injures it. The monster starts bleeding but it seems the damage is not serious enough to defeat it. Lu Kai compliments Zhang Zi that his punch was strong, and within moments, the territory monster falls to the ground. Zhang Zi has successfully defeated one monster, but this has enraged its companions. They were waiting for this chance and rush at Zhang Zi, who takes his fighting stance, knowing that it would not be easy to fight those monsters all at once. But then he hears the sound of someone running towards him from behind, and when he turns back, someone steps on his shoulder to jump up. Zhang Zi is shocked on seeing that it is a woman in a purple costume who is heading towards the monsters. She looks tough and confident and Zhang Zi cannot find out any reason for her being here. But she jumps at the monsters and kicks them while performing acrobatics in the air. Her kicks are strong and the monsters shift their attention from Zhang Zi and Lu Kai to her. A monster attacks her but she dodges it by jumping up in the air. Then she kicks it with great force, breaking the bones in its chest. She takes the huge monster down with just one kick. Zhang Zi is amazed by her raw strength. She must be twice as strong as him and she was quite fast and skilled too. She is staring at Zhang Zi when a jeep comes behind her. She instructs him to take his wounded friend and get inside the vehicle as soon as possible. Meanwhile, other monsters start gathering around her after their companion has died. Jiang Zi obeys and takes Lu Kai inside the jeep, but the driver tells the girl that another wave of monsters was coming. He calls the woman boss and urges her to get back as soon as she could. The woman is fighting another monster and starts running back to the jeep as soon as she is done. She gets inside and orders the driver to race ahead of the monsters. But the monsters are quite fast at chasing them and they can keep close to the moving vehicle. Jiang Zi looks back and sees that the monsters were quite close to them and could catch up if the driver did not speed up. But another group of monsters attack from the side and almost crash the jeep. But the driver manages to save everyone and get out of the line of attack. But he is concerned that they could not lose the monsters easily, and they could also not afford to take them near the wall. If the monsters reached the wall and by some evil luck entered Tianfeng City, it would be a disaster. The woman decides to stop the monsters from following them or reaching the wall. She picks a bag and hands it over to Jiang Zi and tells him to start working. She was saving their lives, so they should also not act as freeloaders. Jiang Zi obeys, but as he opens the bag, he is shocked by what he sees. It contained grenades and flashbangs. The bag was full of them. She tells him to throw all of them at the monsters chasing them to scare them away. Jiang Zi follows the orders and throws the grenades at the monsters chasing them. Huge explosions occur near the monsters and some of them take serious damage. But they are too many and a few casualties do not force them to run away. The monsters are still chasing the vehicle and Jiang Zi and the woman are looking behind from the open roof of the jeep. They both pick up the grenades and throw them at the monsters again. This time, the point of contact is better and the explosions kill many monsters. The rest of the monsters have learnt their lesson and stop following the jeep. But now Jiang Zi is wondering who this woman was and why did she have so many weapons. He feels overwhelmed by what was happening around him as the driver starts asking him questions. He asks Jiang Zi and Lu Kai why they went to the fallen city despite knowing how dangerous it could be. And what stupid thing had they done to attract a bunch of deadly monsters? Lu Kai is ready to answer his questions so as to not arouse suspicions. He tells the driver that they were ordinary people and had visited the fallen city because it was their hometown. They just wanted to clean the graves of their ancestors, but they had never expected that they would face territory monsters. He thanks the two of them for saving their lives. And Jiang Zi is speechless by how easily Lu Kai could spin a false tale. But the woman is still not convinced by Lu Kai's answer. She decides to not press for more details and turns to Jiang Zi instead. She calls him a kid and asks what his name was. She says that the way he fought against the monsters was very impressive. Not only was he strong enough to beat a monster, but he was also smart and brave. Jiang Zi is shocked by her sudden attention but tells her his name. She replies that he should not go to such a dangerous area again. She warns him that if he did something foolish, he might lose his life, no matter how talented he was. The woman also tells him that he should refrain from such dangerous things unless he was a demon territory expert. Jiang Zi is shocked by her statements and concerned, but he doesn't feel that she has ulterior motives. She was keeping her identity a secret, but it did not seem that she was a bad person. The woman and her driver leave Jiang Zi and Lu Kai in front of the city wall. She tells them that they could not take them any closer to the city and advises them to return home at once. But after they have left, Jiang Zi asks Lu Kai who could those people be. The woman was particularly strong and even had a deadly amount of weaponry with her. Lu Kai also had met her for the first time and can only guess that she was a powerful demon territory expert. If she was not, how could she defeat those big monsters so easily? But Jiang Zi looks back and finds that the backpack with the painting was torn open. He had not paid attention to it during the fight with the monster and it seemed to have been torn by the monster's claw. The painting they worked so hard to get and lost their comrades for was gone. Lu Kai is sad, but he sighs and tells Jiang Zi that it was just bad luck. They could not win every day and today was a very bad day. But the silver lining is that at least two of them managed to survive. The two of them cross the wall and get back to the city. Jiang Zi takes Lu Kai to the hospital and it is already evening when he decides to leave. He is tired physically and mentally after what happened and is eager to get home and rest. He thinks to himself that he was lucky that the powerful woman arrived at the scene and helped them. If that had not happened, he and Lu Kai would have both died. He is staring at his smartphone as he walks up the stairs and thinks that if they could at least have the painting, they would not be so disappointed. It was worth a lot of money and they were going home empty-handed. But as he is walking without paying attention to his surroundings, he bumps shoulders with a man. He is a big burly fellow and he has completely covered his face. He is wearing a mask and a cap to hide his face. There is also a cylindrical bag on his shoulder. When Jiang Zi apologizes to the man, he realizes something. The physique of the man was too familiar. He looks back at the man who is suspiciously hiding his face as he hurries out of the building. He gets the weird feeling that the man was Tai Gang, the first person in their group to vanish. Jiang Zi is still worried that he might be overthinking, but he cannot shake the feeling. He is soon convinced that the masked man is Tai Gang and decides to follow him. He had disappeared in the ruins and now suddenly appeared here. That smelled of some shady business. Jiang Zi keeps a safe distance from the man as he follows him across the city. He walks for some time and then stops at an old and poor part of the city. Jiang Zi is hiding behind the corner when he sees the man calling someone. He calls the man on the phone boss and tells him that he was at the meeting spot. Jiang Zi recognizes the voice and realizes that everything was set up by Tai Gang, and he was the reason for the death of his comrades. But Tai Gang has not yet noticed that Jiang Zi had followed him and tells his boss that he was sure that no one had noticed him. Soon 2 men come to meet Tai Gang. One of them is a rich old man smoking a cigar. He is the boss, and the other one is his bodyguard, a tall bald man with a scar across his face. The boss is excited to meet Tai Gang and asks him if he brought the thing he promised, and Tai Gang tells him that he had. He takes out his cylindrical bag and shows it to the boss, who opens it and finds a rolled painting inside it. Tai Gang tells him that since his job was complete now, he would like to get his reward as soon as possible. The boss is happy on seeing the painting and says that he had brought the money with him. The rich old man looks at the painting to verify it and tells Tai Gang that he was quite ruthless. He did not even hesitate to betray his friends whom he knew for over 10 years. And he did it so that he could get the entire reward of 3 million yuan for himself. The boss smiles and says that he was amazed by his ruthlessness and determination. Jiang Zi's doubts are all cleared now and he is angry at Tai Gang for selling them out. He decides to do something about it once Tai Gang was alone. But the boss is happy with Tai Gang's work and gives him a suitcase full of money. It was complete 3 million yuan as promised, and Tai Gang takes the suitcase. He turns back to go home and tells the boss that he could only survive in this cruel world because he was ruthless. He is happily going back when he hears the cocking of a gun behind his head. The bodyguard has pointed a pistol at Tai Gang's head and he is terrified of what could happen now. He turns back and nervously asks the men what were they thinking, but the bodyguard has already fired the bullet before he could complete the question. The bullet shot at point-blank range pierces his brain and Tai Gang dies instantly. The boss is calm as he goes to his dead body and picks up the suitcase. He repeats what Tai Gang had just said. He survived in this cruel world because he was so ruthless. But the boss says that he was more ruthless than anyone else, and that was why he was at the top. He picks up the money-filled suitcase as he laughs at Tai Gang. He starts heading back without care to dispose of the body and says that he had no problem with ruthless people. But he hated people who betrayed their friends and family. The bodyguard follows the rich man and they leave Tai Gang's dead body lying in the street. Jiang Zi is terrified by what he just saw. These people were real gangsters that did not hesitate to kill someone and leave the body behind. He wonders who the rich man was, but that could be thought of later. Right now, it was important that he went home and left the crime site quickly. He runs home and his sister Zhang Feng is there to welcome him. She is happy and asks him how his first day at work went. But Jiang Zi is not in the mood to talk and cannot talk about everything that happened right now. He tells his sister that he was too tired to talk now, but the first day at work was a complete disaster. He wanted to go home and rest as he was very tired. But as the brother and sister are standing outside, the door of their neighbor opens and he comes out to throw away garbage. Zhang Feng greets him when she sees him and Jiang Zi realizes that this must be the new neighbor she was talking about. Zhang Feng tells him about the new neighbor and says that he was the kind uncle who gifted her apples yesterday. The man also smiles on being greeted and greets Jiang Zi. He seems to be a good man, but Jiang Zi realizes that something was very wrong with this situation. Their new neighbor was the bodyguard of the rich boss who had just killed Tai Gang. Jiang Zi is shocked on seeing that man. He had the same height and build. He was bald and had the exact same scar as the bodyguard. There was no mistake. He was the man he just saw in the street earlier. But he conceals his reaction and greets the man as well. He thanks him for gifting precious apples to them. But the bodyguard smiles back and says that it was no big thing. They were neighbors, and as a neighbor, it was their duty to take care of each other. Zhang Feng is excited and asks the man to come to their house for dinner. But Jiang Zi abruptly tells her that he couldn't accept their offer today. He tries to explain to the man that he was tired today and could not be a good host. He says that they would invite him for dinner another day. Zhang Feng is shocked at her brother's behavior and tells the neighbor that he could come for dinner any day he was free. But Jiang Zi is almost pushing her inside, and once they are inside, he slams the door shut. The dangerous neighbor is watching the strange behavior of the kid he just met and realizes that something was wrong here. but Jiang Feng tells her brother that she would prepare dinner while he took a bath. Jiang Zi is busy with his thoughts and is still trying to think of an explanation in which their neighbor was not a murderer. He tells Jiang Feng that he was going out and leaves through the window. He tells her to stay at home and be careful. He would go to find the truth about the new neighbor himself, otherwise, he and his sister would be in danger. He jumps to the neighbor's balcony wall and finds that he had spilled oil on the floor. If he did not have high agility, he would have slipped and alerted him. He enters the room and finds that it was quite modest. Anyone with such a simple room would not use such a trap on their balcony. The neighbor was definitely hiding something. Jiang Zi looks under the bed and finds a box. He opens it and sees that the neighbor was named Huang Hanfei, and he was a rank 1 demon territory expert. Jiang Zi realizes that he was in big trouble now. The man next house was really dangerous. But then he hears the door open and the man tells him to come out. He smiles at Jiang Zi, who is shocked at being caught and can only hope that he escapes alive. The video ends here with Jiang Zi face to face with a rank 1 demon territory expert. Will he be able to fight against a powerful opponent, or will he use some other method to save his life? Let us find out in the next video.